The confident smile on Julian Croft's face froze, 10 feet high and projected for the world to see. Every screen behind him, meant to display soaring revenue charts, flickered once, then twice, before displaying the same 3 words in stark white text. Promise not found. That was the end of his presentation. But it started for me hours earlier, in the quiet dark of my apartment, the only light coming from the 3 monitors that were my entire world now. The message I'd sent him last night, "I know what you did," was a rock thrown into a still pond. Julian's frantic digital ripples were my morning coffee. He hadn't just seen a threat, he'd seen a ghost. His ghost, me. And now the hunt wasn't just beginning, it was about to go public. Today was Julian's big day, a high-stakes presentation to Catherine Dubois, a titan of private equity whose investment could double Aegis's valuation overnight. He'd be on stage, selling my work as his own, polishing the crown he'd stolen from my head. I pulled up the live feed from Aegis's main conference room, a camera angle I wasn't supposed to have access to. Through the ghost, I had access to everything. "We are talking about a paradigm shift," Julian's voice boomed, smooth as polished glass. He paced the stage, a master of his universe. "Aegis isn't just software, it's a promise of stability in an unstable world." I leaned forward, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. A promise, the word tasted like ash in my mouth. He'd promised me a partnership. He'd promised our work would change the world together. Then he'd promised a board of directors. I was a security risk, a volatile coder who had to be cut loose for the good of the company. My first move was subtle. I sent a whisper of code through the network. On stage, Julian's microphone let out a piercing shriek of feedback. He flinched, forcing a laugh. "A little excitement," he quipped, recovering instantly. "Even our sound system can barely contain itself." The investors chuckled politely. He was good. I had to give him that. He could sell water to a drowning man. But I wasn't selling, I was repossessing. He clicked to the next slide. Nothing happened. He clicked again, his smile tightening at the edges. A small technical hiccup. He motioned to a tech in the wings, who scurried over to his laptop. In the front row, I saw Catherine Dubois shift in her seat, her expression unreadable. Beside her sat Marcus Chen, the CFO, a numbers guy, quiet, meticulous, and completely loyal to Julian. Or so I thought. His face was a mask of anxiety. He kept glancing from the frozen screen to Julian, then down at his tablet. "Julian's vision is what drives us," Chen had said in a press release last month. "A perfect corporate soldier, a man who knew where the bodies were buried because he'd helped dig the graves." I let the tech fix the slide. I wanted Julian to feel the ground returning beneath his feet, just for a moment. Let him get his rhythm back. Let him start to believe he'd weathered the storm. He launched into his grand vision for Aegis 2.0, his voice resonating with that false, passionate sincerity I knew so well. It was the same voice he'd used when he told me the non-disclosure agreement was just a formality to protect us both. "Our core architecture is the most secure, most robust platform on the market," he declared, his arms spread wide. "It is, in a word, unbreakable." That was my cue. It was time for the main event. My command was a single line, elegant, simple. It didn't break anything. It just asked the system's primary display protocol a very simple question to define its core mission statement. A mission statement I had written, and Julian had later erased. The system, unable to find the new, sanitized corporate version, would default to an error. The screens flickered. Julian's confident smile froze. And then, those 3 beautiful, terrible words appeared everywhere. "Promise not found." A collective gasp went through the room. Julian's face, projected in high definition, was a portrait of dawning horror. He stared at the screens, then back at the audience, his charisma evaporating like mist. For the first time since he'd stolen my life, he looked small, he looked incompetent. The plan had worked perfectly. Maybe too perfectly. I watched, my heart hammering a cold, steady rhythm, as Catherine Dubois leaned over to Marcus Chen. She whispered something. Chen nodded grimly, his face pale. He didn't try to defend Julian. He didn't make excuses. He just typed something into his tablet. A moment later, Dubois stood up. She didn't say a word. She just gave Julian a single, dismissive look and walked out of the room. Her entire team followed her. The deal was dead. A $50 million hole just blew open in Julian's 5-year plan. My plan, but then something happened that I hadn't anticipated. As the room descended into chaos, my surveillance software flagged a secure, encrypted message sent from Chen's tablet to an external server. It was a simple text string sent in the immediate aftermath of Dubois leaving. A message he clearly didn't want on the company network. I rerouted the packet through my own server, cracking the encryption in seconds. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a panicked report to another board member. It was a reply. The message he was replying to, sent an hour before the presentation, read, "He's on stage at 10. You'll know the signal, be ready." Chen's reply was 2 words, "It's done." I leaned back, a slow, cold understanding washing over me. Chen hadn't been a loyal soldier. He was a co-conspirator, but he wasn't working with me. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. Who sent that first message? Who gave the signal? I had created the chaos, but someone else had been waiting in the wings to weaponize it. I wasn't just a ghost haunting Julian. I was a tool being used in someone else's war. The next 24 hours were a blur of damage control. Julian, cornered and bleeding, did what he always did. He went on the attack. He scheduled a press conference. I watched the live stream, a knot tightening in my stomach. Aegis was the victim of a malicious, targeted cyber attack, he announced, his face a mask of righteous fury. He looked directly into the camera. This was a sophisticated act of corporate sabotage perpetrated by our chief rival, Omnitech. They see us as a threat, and they are trying to cripple us before we can change the world. But they will not succeed. He was brilliant. He'd taken my anonymous surgical strike and turned it into a public declaration of war, painting himself as the brave defender of innovation. He was changing the narrative, redirecting the blame. It was a lie, a beautiful, audacious lie, and it was going to work. He was creating a new enemy to hide the real one, me. A part of me felt a surge of respect. The other part felt the cold burn of pure hatred. He was using the same tactic on a rival company that he'd used on me. Frame them, isolate them, destroy them. But his paranoia was his weakness. He believed he was fighting a rival corporation, a team of hackers. He couldn't imagine he was fighting a single, invisible man sitting in a dark room. And so he made his next move, the logical move, the move that would change everything. I was sifting through the Aegis network logs, trying to trace the source of that message to Chen, when a new alert flashed in the corner of my screen. A system-wide priority notification. My fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up the admin console. My creation, my kingdom. My blood ran cold. A new user profile had just been created, not by Julian, not by the system administrator. It was created by a third-party security charter authorized by an emergency board vote. It had the highest level of clearance, root access, the digital equivalent of a key to every room in the building. The profile was simple, one name. Anya Sharma. I knew the name. Everyone in my world knew the name. She was a legend, a digital ghost hunter. The one corporations called when they had a problem they couldn't see, couldn't define, but could feel strangling them from the inside. She didn't just find hackers, she disassembled them piece by piece until their every secret was laid bare. Then I saw it. A new presence inside the ghost's architecture. It was just a cursor at first, a tiny blinking line in a sea of my own code. But it moved with a purpose, a terrifying efficiency, testing firewalls, querying log files, tracing the faint digital footprints I'd left behind. It was her. She was inside my system, my home. I watched her avatar move through the code, a silent, deadly predator that was now hunting me. She's good, I muttered to the empty room, the words feeling like ice in my lungs. This just got a lot harder.